Yo, what's good everyone? Today we build a responsive navigation menu from scratch using React as a framework, the CSS to make smooth animation, and the React router. So basically you can click on the nav item, it will switch between each page. And finally, the media grid to make things responsive, but due to the length of this video, I want to keep it as short as possible, so I split it into two parts. The first thing is creating the React Navbar with CSS animation and the responsive problem. The second one will use the React router and frame motion to make the page transitions. If you're wondering what is the content of this project, well, the answer is the information about the React Fox. You may be asked why, and maybe I'm coder but also loves animal, so here we are today. There's one fun fact about the React Fox before we dive into coding. The React Fox can have excellent hearing, they can hear the low frequency sound and the rodent digging under the ground. That sounds amazing. Okay, don't take your time anymore. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and if you want to see more projects like this, leave me a comment below. And now, let's get started. First, I want to design the web logo. It's an abstract logo with the concept of the React Fox. If you're not interested in this topic, you can next to. So we'll dive into the code. If you are still here, I want to share with you, before I came up with this logo idea, I had a lot of sketches. And for me, this harder part to come up with the ideas. You can refer to a ton of design on the internet. Oh, by the way, the first time you look at this logo, do you realize this is a React Fox? Leave me a comment below. Okay, when you have an idea, you can sketch it out on your phone, tablet, or even paper. Then you import it into Adobe Illustrator. Lock this layer, create a new one, and put it on the top. Then you use pen tool and follow the line on the sketch. Then you use width tool to adjust the width. And finally, paint the color. Export it as a PNG file. Okay, we have a complete logo for the website. That's great. And now let's dive into the code. Okay, let's open your VS Code. Open your folder where you want to store your project. Then you can open up the command line in the VS Code and run npx create react app. It's a package that kind of sets everything up for us, the whole environment to start writing React code.
A few moments later.
Now we can run npm start, and it's just gonna open up live development server so you can see how our React code works. So just delete what I don't need. Then I have two components, the navbar and the content, where the navbar sticks to the web page. When you hover over it, It will animate out and show you the text of the nav item. Meanwhile, the content component will show you the main content of the site. But first of all, you need to create a component folder in the source. Inside this folder, we have navbar.js and navbar.css. You should get in the habit of managing folders in this way. It will be easy for you when you work on a big project, when the number of the component is too large. I will create some more files, content.js and the content.css. In the content component, you need to import React from React. It's a procedure whenever you want to create a new component, then you have a function and return your stuff right here. In this project, we just focus on the navbar, so we don't care too much about the content. I will show you later in the next video about React routers. Now you can copy the Lorem Ipsums on this website. The link below the description. Lorem Ipsum is a placeholder text commonly used to demonstrate a visual form of a document or a type place without relying on meaningful content. If you don't feel familiar with this style of code, or you're just a new beginner who learns React, it's JSX. JSX is not actually HTML, but is a syntax extension for JavaScript that allows you to write HTML in your components. And finally, you need to export it. You do the same thing with navbar.js, just with different content. Now back to app.js, you import the navbar and the content component. Then check the result. Here we are. In navbar.css, I will define some reusable values in the root. We have the font size, we have the colors and the theme for the app. This way you can turn these meaningless numbers into the meaningful values. With the main content, I set a margin somehow the navbar doesn't collapse in the content, and the padding 1 rem. If you wonder what is rem, in CSS, rem stands for the root m, a unit of measurements that represents the font size of the root element. This means that 1 rem equals the font size of the HTML element, which for the most browser has a default value of 16 pixels. Using rem can help ensure the font size and the spacing consistencies throughout your UI. Now we move on to the interesting part, CSS for the navbar. Here the size of the navbar container. Right here, 100 VH means 100% of height of the viewport. The position fixed, which means it always stay in the same place even if the page is scrolled. And finally, give it a color that we defined before. Now the next thing, we build a nav item inside the navbar.js. We start with the unauthorized list tag and call it the nav menu. Inside the nav menu, we have the LR tag as the nav item. And inside the nav item, we have the link tag, including 2 elements inside, the rect icons and the link text. To use the rect icons, you need to open the terminal and run this command, npm install react icons. Wait for a minute.
A few moments later.
Then finish the installation. You can visit the React icon website and choose the icon you like. For example, I choose the G4 icon, so I copy its name. Then go back to navbar.js, I import it from React library. Do the same thing with another icon. Notice the React icons library link are the first 2 letters of the icon name. back to nav item. Now copy and paste the same format for another nav item and rename the icon. We have what we need, but it's not good looking. Don't worry, we will CSS for the nav menu by using flexbox. Consider our nav menu. I don't want the list style, the padding and margin are 0, and I set the display to flex. By default, flex direction is row, but we want it set to column because our navbar is vertical. Then I set the width of the nav item to 16 rem for good looking. So move on to the nav link. I want it to display flex, align items, centers. It helps center elements along the y-axis. The height of 5 rem. Give it a color and text decoration is none. And I just want whenever I hover over the navbar, I will show the link text. So in normal condition, the link text display none. I adjust the nav icon a bit like this. Now we make the cool animation. When we hover over the navbar, it will animate out to the left. So I start with the pseudo class, hover on the navbar, making its width bigger. And we also need to display the link text in line. So we have our animation out to the left when we hover over the navbar, but it doesn't smooth, so I add a transition. Now it looks much better. If you pay attention, you will probably notice one thing, let's make the user experience not so good. Let me slow down the transition speed. You can see the navbar hasn't expanded completely, but the link text appears as soon as I hover the navbar. I don't want it to happen, so for the navbar container, I set overflow hidden. That's great. I also do the same thing when I hover over the nav link. I set it in the color, but it is affected to 100% grayscale, and if we hover over it, we want to remove this filter. So I come with the filter there, reset the grayscale back to 0% and opacity back to 1. Also change the background color, and don't forget to add the transition speed to look smooth animate. As you can see, our CSS worked too good. Now let's go further. We import the logo we designed. Inside the link tag, we have an image and the logo text. So I set some properties for the navbar class. I use flex display to manage its two child elements. I put it in some colors and physical size to make sure it fits your navbar. In the navbar logo, set a span tag color, so you have a nice typography here. The navbar is basically done, but we move on to the responsive task, which makes sure your website displays well on the other device screen. So we use the media query. The media queries can help you solve the responsive problem. We can add a breakpoint where the certain part of the design will behave different on each side of the breakpoint. But I just want to keep things simple. Right here, I set my media query for the screen, max width of 600 pixels for the small screen, and the screen min width of 600 pixels for the large screen. We deal with the large screen first. It's simply what we do before. So we just copy and paste our last CSS right here, such as the physical size and the position of the navbar. The animation will be hover over a navbar container, because I don't want to show this animation in the small screen version. At this point, if you run the web page, it's the same result as we did before. Meanwhile, with the small screen version, the navbar will stick to the bottom of the screen. First, I have to fix the navbar stick to the bottom, set the width to 100 VW and the height to 5 rem. I don't want to display the logo in this version. And fix the nav menu. Flex direction to row. We'll see all the icons on the bottom. And I use the justify content to center all the icons along the x-axis. Finally, I want to remove the gap, so I set the main content margin to 0. And we are done. We have a cool navbar responsive for many other devices. And the cool animation is spanned when we hover over in the large screen version. In the next video, I will teach you guys how to work with the React router, how to add a page transition animation, and how to make a complete website about the React forks. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn the bell. You don't want to miss an amazing video like this. See ya!